You smile really loud.
Hey everybody, I'm April, and this is Cass, and we're here with our Roots and Wings weekly get together.
Chatterbox week 2.
Yep, Chatterbox week 2. Second week of gratitude. G for gratitude. We needed shirts that had a big G on them, didn't we?
I'm wearing Georgia shirt.
G is for gratitude. Alright, so Cass picked us out a good one last week to read, and I hope all of you have read Philippians 4. So we're going to take a few minutes, we're going to go through it, and then we're going to discuss it. So, Cass, you want to read it to us?
Yeah. I'll just start. I really love this chapter of Philippians. I think there's lots of really good things in here, and I think most of the verses that you hear referenced from Philippians come from this chapter. I can think of 3 different parts of this chapter that are referenced constantly.
Tell them to us before we start so we can jump on.
4, and then 4:8, and then
4:4. What is that?
Rejoice in the Lord always.
Okay.
And then 4:8
What is that?
Is the whatever is true, whatever is noble.
Okay.
And then of course Philippians 4:13.
I can do all things. Okay. All right. So
do you want me to read the whole thing, or read that first section?
You can read some, and I'll read some if you want to, or we can. Let's just read. Can we read down to like?
Let's just read that first section.
Okay. All right.
So this is Philippians 4:1-3. Therefore, my brothers and sisters, you who I love and long for, my joy and crown, stand firm in the Lord in this way, dear friends. I plead with. We talked about this, and now I don't remember how to say it.
Euodia or something.
Euodia, and I plead with Syntyche. I think that's
we
what
listened
the
to
Bible
it,
told me.
but we've already forgotten how to say it now.
Didn't help very much. To be in the same mind in the Lord. Yes, and I ask you, my true companion, help these women, since they have contended at my side in the cause of the gospel, along with Clement and the rest of my co-workers whose names are in the book of life. Okay.
So he starts off there telling them like he's excited to see them, that they gave him joy. The fact that they were Christians and that they were working for the Lord gave him joy.
I like that my joy and my crown stand firm in Lord in this way, dear friends.
So he's encouraging them. And he's also telling them that they mean something to him.
Yeah.
And that's something that we could take lessons from, is not only, being proud of somebody, but telling them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes we forget what an encouragement we can be to people by speaking up.
Yeah, he's showing his gratitude for them just by, his positive words that he's saying to them.
Yeah, and sometimes we all need a little pat on the back, a little positive reinforcement, don't we? And so he's giving them that.
Yeah.
And I don't think Paul was like one of those people that handed out compliments really. He's usually pretty...
Yeah, to the point. I think that's why I like this, is even in like the little bits of personal stuff you get in it, I like it because I feel like there's things in there that aren't just the personal. Like there's things to take away from it, like in this.
Yeah, and he's not criticizing them like he is in a lot of the letters that he was having to give them instructions because there was something wrong.
Yeah.
He's not having to do that too much to them, and it's more just a letter of encouragement, isn't it? Okay. So, how about the next part there? Talking about the 2 women.
Yeah.
E and S, we'll call them.
He's pleading with them to be in the same mind. And he's saying that they had, done a lot of good for the gospel, and pleading for them to work together.
And that they're both Christians. And that they, they're good people.
Yeah.
But they had an argument. Imagine that. 2 Christians having an argument. That never happened. Have any of y'all ever heard of such? Right. Church people and Christians can argue.
Well, I think it's interesting that, even this is the very start of Christianity. Like, since the very start of Christianity, there have been fights amongst church
Yeah,
people.
it makes you wonder what
Like,
they're arguing about,
yeah,
doesn't
it
it?
makes you kind of feel better because you're like, okay, well, even, you know, E and S, they're fighting, and, you know, they're getting the seal of approval from Paul saying, you know, they have done great work and their names are in the book of life and they're still fighting. So, I mean, it happens.
In the New Living Translation, I like to look over, I like to read it. It says, that verse 3 says, "And I ask you, my true teammate, to help these women, for they worked hard with me in telling the good news, and they worked with Clement and the rest of the co-workers whose names are written in the book of life." So he's reinforcing the fact that, hey, we're all on the same team here, and we need to help, you know, settle disputes among each other. I think that might be an important thing too, because sometimes we kind of want to stay out of it if somebody's having a dispute, don't we? Are we having trouble?
Yeah.
We're having trouble. Technical difficulties. You know that never happens either. Do we need to pause? Take a dramatic pause right here while you fix it.
Y'all just, I mean, if you cannot hear me, then you obviously won't be able to answer this question, but if the sound is working, like my comments.
Yeah,
so
somebody
I know
give
that
us
it's
a
working.
give us a thumbs up if you can hear us.
Miss Jerry said it wasn't working. She couldn't hear.
Okay. Well, I'll talk, and that way, if anybody can tell if they can hear us now. Can you hear me now? Can you hear? It sounds like a commercial. Can you hear me now? How about now? How about now? Nobody said they can hear us yet?
No.
This could be when I sound the best, actually.
Why is Dad not watching this?
Well, I don't know. Is he supposed to be?
Yes. I'm just gonna restart it.
Okay. The other one is...
Okay, they're saying they can hear us now, so keep going.
Okay. So the other one was fine too?
Yeah.
We always set up two cameras, one for the Facebook and then one for the YouTube video. By the way, if you looked for the one on YouTube, she said it didn't load, but we're still working on it. Maybe it'll load sometime soon. It kind of has a mind of its own.
Sorry for that brief interruption there.
Well, it was a nice little dramatic pause. Okay, so back to the two ladies here who were arguing about something. And so he's reminding them that we're all on the same team here, guys, and you know, and we need to. And he asked them to please help. You know, he said, "I ask you to help these women." So he don't go by the old thing, mind your own business and don't get involved, does he? He says there's a problem among some Christians here in our group, and we need to help work it out.
Yeah, and I like that he's not like calling them out and saying, you know, help them settle this ridiculous feud that they're having. Like he's saying, you know, help them get it fixed.
Yeah.
But it's not like an attack on either one of them because it happened.
And it's really probably for our benefit a good thing here that he don't tell us what they're arguing about. That way we can apply it to our own lives, can't we? Like when we have an argument, it could be the same thing that these two ladies was arguing about, you know? And he wanted them to get it worked out because he knew that a problem amongst the team was bad for the whole team. And it always does cause division, doesn't it? And it causes you not to be able to be as effective in your ministry when you have issues like that. All right. You want to read some more or you want me to read?
I can read.
Okay.
And this is starting with verse 4. Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again. Rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Jesus Christ. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put into practice, and the God of peace will be with you.
That's a lot packed into that little bit, isn't it?
4 little verses.
I like the way 4 starts off. It don't just say rejoice. It says rejoice again, I say. because he thinks she might have missed it the first
That's
time.
Paul's way of saying, say it again for the people in the back.
And he probably knew that people don't always hear it.
Yeah.
You know, people will read over something and skim through it. And he wanted to make sure that point got, hammered into them. So rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say, rejoice. And then he goes on to tell some more stuff. So what's your take on that, Cass?
To let your gentleness be evident to all.
What do you think that's all about?
I think, sometimes we can be harsh with one another, and, we've talked about a lot, like, you can say things that you might not think are going to come across a certain way, and then somebody takes it the wrong way. So I think, he's kind of warning, be gentle in your approach to other people. And
I have kind of thought in the past that the word gentleness was kind of something that, this is just my opinion, like it applied to my family, and then kindness maybe applied to strangers. So to me, gentleness implies like more intimacy, like be gentle with somebody, because that, like I guess it kind of goes back to like you touch something gentle. When you and Kenzie was little, and I'd have to say, be gentle, don't hurt your sister, and it's kind of like it was a hands-on kind of thing. So I don't know if other people think that, but I kind of think that gentle is a little different than kindness,
Yeah, well, I think gentleness kind of is more like careful, like, taking care of these
kind of like you would if you were touching
Yeah.
something delicate. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I like that instead of saying let your kindness be evident to all, gentleness gives it a little more, I don't know, gives it a little more oomph to me. Maybe it's just me. Okay. All right, keep going.
Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving,
There's our gratitude.
present your requests to God.
What do you think? Okay, let's talk about that. Don't be anxious about anything. How many of y'all got that one down pat? Don't be anxious about anything. But it says not only don't be anxious about it, but do something kind of instead of it, doesn't it? Yeah.
Like
It don't
when
just
you're
tell
going this way,
you feel yourself getting
Yeah.
anxious.
then
Make a little Yui. And then do what? Present
by
it.
prayer and petition
Yeah,
with
yeah.
thanksgiving, present your request to God.
Yeah, so you feel yourself going down that little anxious road, and all of a sudden you need to, make a conscious decision to turn to God.
I really like that with Thanksgiving is in here, because I think sometimes, especially when we're praying for something that we're asking for or something we're upset by, if we are feeling anxious and we're praying, I think we tend to approach it kind of negatively, like, God, I'm struggling with this.
I need
me
your
with
help.
this. I need your help. And it comes from a more like negative, like, I need your help. Why aren't you helping me? Kind of place. And I think I really like that it says by prayer and petition with thanksgiving. So even if you're, presenting this request over and over,
Or
with
this
petition,
problem. So you're
you're presenting it over and over, you're doing it over and over. It always needs to come from a place of thanksgiving, even if you're presenting a problem. Like,
And that kind of puts the emphasis back on God, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you reckon, you're bringing Him your problems, and He tells us to do that. He tells us to bring Him our problems. And so we're bringing Him our problems, but at the same time, doesn't that kind of put it in perspective? When you see the blessings that He's poured out on us, and His grace, His mercy, and His power, and then it kind of makes our little problems seem a little smaller, doesn't it? Just the perspective that it gives us. And the reality is, in the big picture, we're thoroughly blessed. We might have this problem, and we should take it to Him. But maybe that's one of the reasons we're supposed to take it to Him, is because, it helps us to refocus on the blessings on him and the blessings that we do have, instead of only thinking of the problem. I read this little thing and it said, if you always focus on the problem, it's never going to go away. Focus on the solution. Focus on God. You know, he's the solution. Focus on him. Quit looking at your problem all the time. Take your mind off of it. Do something, you know.
Yeah.
And prayer and petition is doing something.
Yeah. I just kind of like how at the start of the chapter, it starts with him being thankful and expressing his gratitude to people, to his friends, to the people he's writing to. So, you know, that's the gratitude for people. And then I like here, it's talking about, you know, going to the Lord with our gratitude and showing him our gratitude. So, you know, that's the two parts so far of the two different parts of gratitude.
So we need to remind people that we're thankful for them and, you know, help them, encourage them.
Yeah.
And then we need to remember that God is there for us when we need him.
Yeah.
And we need to be thankful for him and thankful for the blessings. Okay. Yeah.
And then Kelsey had a comment about this next little part as we started.
Okay.
She said, verse 8 has always gone hand in hand with 2 Corinthians 10:5 for me. I have to take captive every thought and make it obedient to God. And obedient thoughts are whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, and praiseworthy. Both of these verses are two of my faves and constant reminders I need for myself.
And it's important that, again, that's focusing on the solution and focusing. And I think that, you know, just telling us to focus on the good things. We don't need to fill our hearts, our minds, our eyes with negative stuff. And that's why it's important a lot of times to be so careful about what we take in as entertainment even. And we've talked about this before, but entertainment can still be damaging to you, you know. So you got to be careful what you let in.
Yeah. I like that right after it talks about being anxious, it tells you all of these good things to think about, kind of instead
as part of the solution,
right? Instead of the anxious thoughts, hey, why don't you try thinking about things that are true, noble, right, pure? So I like that, you know.
And then it gives you, and then it tells you what's going to happen if you do that. If you focus on the good and you fill your time and yourself with godly things, then the peace of God will be with you. You know, so that comes back to full circle about you started with anxiety.
Yeah.
And then you brought it, instead of letting anxiety just spiral out of control, you brought it to God. And you focused on good, which is God. You're not going to get any better than him. You're focusing on God, and then the peace of God will return to you.
I really like verse 9, and there's a part of it that I hadn't really ever paid much attention to until today, and I noticed it. When he says, whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put into practice. And I think that's really important for us too, to know that people are watching us and we should be being examples in, you know, things that we're watching, looking at, thinking about, that we're thinking about noble things, true things, because other people are learning, receiving, hearing, and seeing these things in us. Just like they were seeing in Paul, I think it's important to realize that, you know, we can see these in other people, but people are seeing them in us.
And Paul didn't take the easy road there and go, do what I say and not what I do, did he? I mean, he said, do what you've seen me do. He's putting himself out there, you know, because that's like, sometimes you think, oh, you know, and as parents, that's always hard. You know, you want your kids to see you doing the right thing and not so you don't have to say, do what I say, not what I do. And Paul was saying that. Do what you've seen me do. Boy, so that's a bold and confident person that, you know, says that. So that should be something we strive for, is to make sure that we are that confident that what we are doing is godly and what we are showing. And it said, what you've got, what you've heard, or what you've seen in me. That's a tall order right there. Yeah. So that's good stuff, isn't it? Okay.
This next part, the thanks for their gifts, the 10 through 13 section is really the part to me that screams gratitude.
All right. Well, let's be thankful for it then.
And
mine's even called thanks for their gifts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I rejoice greatly in the Lord that at last you renewed your concern for me. Indeed, you were concerned, but you had no opportunity to show it. I'm not saying this because I am in need, for I've learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I've learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all things through him who gives me strength.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that tells you right there.
Yeah.
I like the talking about I've been in both situations, and because I can do all things through him who gives me strength, I can face this battle, and I'm thankful for I'm thankful in the circumstances because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
it goes back to not letting your circumstance dictate your gratitude.
Or your joy.
Your joy,
we talked about, last week.
Yeah.
And I just think that's, so important. And I think a lot of times, Philippians 4:13 gets quoted, and it's a great verse. I think, there's a reason it gets quoted over and over as people's favorite verses. But I like to read it in the context.
Yeah, in the context it was actually written.
Yeah, because I think, for a long time everybody knows that verse, but you might not always remember the context in which
why he said it.
He's saying it in, and I think that makes it even more powerful.
Yeah, because he's saying, I can do everything because I have the Lord.
Yeah.
And that includes doing without.
Mm-hmm. I've learned the secret of being content in any situation because I can do all things through him.
Yeah. So at the first part of that, though, the first part of that section you just read, I like where he's thanking them for their concern for him. He's thanking people for what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
Patting them on the back a little bit, giving them a little bit. And sometimes we forget how people help us, don't we? It's important for us to, recognize and be appreciative for people that put themselves out there for us.
Yeah.
Like all you guys do for this group. We appreciate y'all tuning in and letting us talk to y'all and be part of your afternoon here once a week. And we appreciate that. We appreciate y'all sharing your time with us.
Yeah.
And, it's okay to tell people that you appreciate them, that you appreciate what they do, you appreciate their prayers, you appreciate anything that they're doing, because it's an effort to do stuff for people sometimes, isn't it? And people love you enough to do that, and that's something that needs to go on our Thanksgiving list all year long, isn't it? What have people done for you to make your life better, you know? And I think we could all make a pretty long list right now. Yeah. So, what else we got?
Do you want me to read the rest of it?
Yeah.
And this is starting with 14. Yet it was good of you to share in my troubles. Moreover, as you Philippians know, in the early days of your acquaintance with the gospel, I set out for Macedonia. Not one church shared with me in the matter of giving and receiving, except only you. For even when I was in Thessalonica, you sent me aid more than once when I was in need. Not that I desire your gifts. What I desire is... my computer's about to shut down. Not that I desire your gifts. What I desire is to be credited to your account. I have received full payment and more than enough. I'm amply supplied now that I have received from... I'm not sure how to say his name. The gifts you sent. They are fragrant offering, an acceptable sacrifice pleasing to God. And my God will meet all your needs according to the riches of his glory in Jesus Christ. To our God and Father be the glory forever and ever. Amen. Greet all God's people in Christ Jesus. The brothers and sisters who are with me send greetings. All God's people who here send your greetings, especially those who belong to Caesar's household. The grace of the Lord Jesus Christ be with your spirit.
Yeah, I like that he's telling them there that he appreciates them, and that they will be rewarded for their generosity. You know, sometimes, I mean, you're not doing it, if you're generous and kind to people, you're not doing it for that. You're doing it because you see a need. But he's putting it out there for them to say, basically, it's more blessed to give than to receive. You know, you guys are really, I want it for y'all. Because he says, I want this to be credited to your account. And I don't think he means down at the local grocery store, do y'all? I think he means God's account.
Yeah. And I like that he's pointing out, like, it's not about the gifts. It's about, you know,
your effort,
the
what
fact
you're doing.
that you're doing
and
it
that you were
more important
and
than
like,
what you're doing.
He says they were helping him even when nobody else was, you know. And sometimes it's you jump on it, and it's good to have corporate giving, like funds and drives, and you know what I mean, like a group effort to help somebody. But sometimes it's the individuals who see a need and act on it when nobody else is acting on it that make the biggest impact.
Yeah.
Because there's not going to be a giving drive to help individuals, but other individuals see the need and act on it. Yeah. And again, you're the hands and feet of God when you do that, and we're told to do that. And here Paul is addressing that very thing. All right, so that was good. Yeah. Do we have any comments for anybody that wants to comment on the chapter? What stood out to them? And nothing. Okay. Well, I had a little, another little thing from a old upper room that I wanted to read. This one was stuck in my Bible. I like when I find them stuck in there on what we're talking about. This one was from 2016. It's called Thanksgiving Every Day. It says, in my country, we celebrate a day of Thanksgiving each year. I wonder how many people stop to consider why they celebrate. Does a day of Thanksgiving cause us to pause and evaluate what we are truly thankful for? As Christians, could we have Thanksgiving every day? In 1 Thessalonians 5:18, Paul writes, in everything give thanks. The apostle is not saying that we are to give thanks for everything, but in everything, despite the circumstances. We know it's not easy to thank God in the midst of trouble, but we are not alone. God is there with us in the midst of our struggles, guiding us through. An attitude of praise and thanksgiving is a choice, an act of our will. Sometimes we will not feel like giving thanks, but consider the results of doing so. A change takes place in us and around us. Things begin looking up. We can cultivate an attitude of thankfulness and have Thanksgiving every day. And they used Philippians 4:4. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. And that was the thought for the day on that one was, what can I thank God for today? Well, what can we thank God for today? I think every day we could have a pretty big list. Yeah. So in this season of Thanksgiving, I think that's something that we need to spend a little time focusing on. Yeah. Is what can we thank God for? We can complain about a whole bunch of stuff now. We don't even need to, think about that, because that comes more natural, doesn't it? The complaining about stuff. But the giving thanks really is something we need to actually put some focus on. Yeah. So before we go on to anything else, I'm going to go ahead and give y'all's assignment for next week, because I have two readings. So if you're writing it down for next week, there's one from the Old Testament and one from the New Testament. From the Old Testament, I want us to read Joshua 4. It's the whole chapter. It's just 24 verses. Joshua 4, okay, 1 through 24. And then from the New Testament, I want us to read John 6, 1 through 15. So John 6, 1 through 15, and Joshua 4, the whole chapter. And we're going to talk on both of those. That you, as you read them, you'll see the kind of maybe the connection. John 6, 1 through 15. You'll see the connection to them. God led me to both of those, one right after the other, and I don't think it was an accident, so I wanted to take a little time to do that. And we're also going to do a little art and craft when I told Cass I had an idea for arts and crafts, she kind of, oh my goodness, she don't really like my arts and crafts stuff.
I don't know what the arts and crafts.
She don't really know what it is, but
I'm a little nervous.
But I'll just tell you that I'll have something, a little visual for us next week. That'll go along with this, and then maybe you can all
wait for that.
see. Now next week we'll be just 2 days before Thanksgiving, so we hope that all you guys will be getting ready for your Thanksgiving celebration. Ever how that's going to look for you this year. Ours is going to look different. We're going to have a quiet Thanksgiving at home just with us, and we have never done that. But with Herb's help, we don't really feel comfortable getting him out into too many, around too many people. So it's going to look different for us, but I'm actually excited about it. I'm going to miss the normal seeing of people, but you got to look for the good. You got to look for, we've never had that. We've never had the quiet little Thanksgiving, so there's going to be blessings to be had. However you're celebrating, look for the blessings, So, all right, so are we ready to do a little Chatterbox questions?
Sure.
All right. I also had a little, Charlie Brown book for y'all, but I might wait till next week and read that. Y'all can comment if y'all want me to read the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving to y'all for next week or not. I thought it was really cute. Cass couldn't believe I went and bought a little kid's Charlie Brown book. But, if you can't find joy in Jesus and Charlie Brown, you can't find it.
Two of your favorite things.
Two of my favorite. I love it. You know what they have? You know what I saw in a little catalog? I saw that they have a Charlie Brown nativity. Have you ever seen such a thing?
No.
Okay, it's like the little Charlie Brown characters dressed up like they were doing like a Christmas play. And I thought, you know what? I think I might have to have that.
Yeah, I'm really shocked you didn't buy
it. Well, I just saw it in a little catalog. I hadn't had a chance to order it yet, but I thought that's the cutest thing. So if any of y'all have got one of those, you send me a picture of it and tell me if it's really as cute as it looked like it was. All right, so we're gonna do a little Chatterbox. Which, if you wasn't with us last week, this is we've got some questions in here. And they're kind of random, but they all kind of have to do with Thanksgiving, and they have to do with gratitude. And so we're just going to take a little minute to take a few of these questions and answer them. And the purpose of this is basically just have fun. Put a little joy. Maybe we can make y'all laugh. We had a great time with Vicky last week, didn't we? And, when we started talking about this, I immediately thought about Vicky. Because if there's one person that always makes me laugh, it's Vicky. And so when we started, reading through that, I texted her and said, hey, can you come and do this Roots and Wings show with us? And I didn't really tell her why. But it's because, she's always brought me joy and brought me laughs. And I know y'all all had fun hearing her. We'll get her back on here with some stories one day because she's really a good storyteller. So anyway, let's see if we can have a little fun with some of these questions. Are you gonna ask me one?
Yeah,
I
pulled one.
You done pulled it out. Okay.
Right. What do you appreciate about the change in seasons?
Oh, that's a good one, isn't it? I like living in Georgia because we have seasons. There's places in this world where it's kind of the same all the time. But here we do get the seasons.
It might change day to day.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
From the morning to the afternoon.
I've always heard if you don't like the weather here, wait a day or two and it'll be different. But I love the seasons. My favorite is spring and fall because I don't like winter. I just don't. I don't like to be cold
and dark.
And I don't like now it's dark and it's 6:30 and it's pitch black dark. I'm not a fan of that. But I like that. I mean, there's things about the wintertime. I like being able to, get our Herb made spaghetti, his good spaghetti sauce tonight. So we'll get our bowl of spaghetti and we'll curl up in front of a Christmas movie here after a while. That's our thing that we like to watch. So I appreciate that about the winter. But what I really like about the change to spring, I like when everything looks new and it's like fresh and clean and crisp and the air feels crisp. And the same thing I think in the fall when the leaves start to change color, it just feels crisp and you get the little chill in the air. I just love that there's something fresh and new, I guess, about every season.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I like the different, like the newness of it, because I think you know, the seasons are kind of long enough. Sometimes you start to get in a little bit of a rut.
Especially in the summer, it's
yeah.
so
and
hot.
I think there's something like so satisfying about like the first morning when you walk outside and like, you know, I leave for work early, and when I walk outside and there's like a chill in the air, it's just, oh my goodness, there's a little bit of a chill, and there's just something like so refreshing and exciting.
She just pull out her
about
sweaters,
that.
damn.
Yeah. There's something so exciting about that, just like change, and it usually comes like right when you're needing it, like when you're like, oh, I can't take.
Kind of makes you appreciate something, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you know, it's God, you know, giving us a little change of pace, isn't it? So yeah.
And I think this year too, like the leaves, I have noticed the leaves have just been extra pretty this year, and you know, if you don't just notice those and think of God when you see them. So.
Yeah, when the leaves start to turn, I always say, it's almost Kenzie's birthday. Because the year I was pregnant, that was something that just like stood out to me, was the beautiful, you know, yellows and oranges of the leaves that year. Maybe because I was pregnant and I couldn't run around doing all the things that I normally did. I really took in the leaves more that year. So now, every year when I see that, I'm like, it's almost Kenzie's birthday.
I've been conditioned to do the same thing. I've heard this my whole life. I'm like, pretty leaves, Kenzie's birthday.
And Cass's birthday is in May, the end of May. So when she was born, it was the total opposite. It had just, everything was really green and bright and beautiful and crisp. I mean, I'm not crisp, but like new, you know, like new birth when she was born. So when things start getting really, really green and everything looks clean and new, it's about Cass's birthday then. So, all right. Well, let me pick out a question for you. Here, you got to stuff that one down in this hole right here, so we don't end up with the same question again. All right, let's see what we got for Cass. It's going to be something like recite the 50 states or something. If you could share Thanksgiving dinner with one famous historical figure, who would you choose?
I don't know if this is a historical figure per se, but one famous person from the past who I would love to have Thanksgiving with, Lucille Ball.
Or any other meal, probably.
Yeah, anything, any time that I could spend with Lucille Ball, she's my spirit animal. I've been obsessed with I Love Lucy since I was, what, like 5?
You were little.
And
you were definitely little.
I feel like I developed my personality around Lucy because I loved it so much, and so Lucille Ball.
So Lucy, yeah. I love Lucy and Lucy loves me. Yep. So that's a good one. Yeah. I don't know if I had an answer for that or not.
Do you have a Bible person who would be like the Bible person?
Well, Jesus, of course.
Well, yeah.
I'd pick Jesus, wouldn't y'all? I'd eat with Jesus. Then, you know, he could multiply it and I could eat some more.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who do you think?
Well, I mean, obviously Jesus. But I think it would be fun to be with Mary and Martha.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's cool to think about the Bible characters. Who of the Bible? You know, all of them would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to, you know, you read about them. And even Paul, I think, you know, he seemed a little stricter and a little, you know, but I like Paul. He's one of my favorites. You know, I've heard people say that they don't, you know, he kind of seemed like a prickly kind of, you know, he didn't seem warm and fuzzy. But I like him because he always seems to me like, I think he was probably really nice, but he was like to the point.
Yeah.
He didn't play. And I kind of like that, even though I like to play. But I kind of like people to just tell it like it is, you know. So, okay.
Just thought I'd throw that in there.
And you guys, when y'all hear a question that y'all want to chime in on, give us y'all's answer too, because I went back last week and read y'all's answers afterwards, and I enjoyed that. So if y'all, you know, give us y'all's answers. We like to hear it.
What is the most valuable lesson you've learned this year?
Oh my. Goodness, I've learned so many. I'm not sure what's the most valuable. I don't know. I don't know what's the most valuable. I've learned a lot of lessons. I've learned I need to be careful with my temper. I've learned that, you know, that things are not always as they seem as a lesson. I've learned that you really, you know, you don't need to put too much credibility, or you don't need to put too much on a person. You know, what's the word I'm looking for there? Too much. I don't want to say
not
trust,
but so much.
You don't want to overestimate what a person can handle in a relationship
With any person.
Yeah, with any person.
They're all human. And
right. And you need to put that in your relationship with Jesus and with God. You don't need to put that. It's too much to put on another person. So I've learned a lot about, in relationships, I've learned a lot there. We've had a lot of things going on this year. A lot of things. And, from family things to friend things to, like the rest of y'all with Corona. And it's just been a strain, So there's been a lot of valuable lessons that I've learned. That I hope that after all this is over, that I'll still remember the lessons I've learned and be better for it. What about you?
I would say, well, every year I pick a word for the year, and I remember talking about this right at the end of 2019 when I was picking my word for 2020, and the word that kept coming to me for 2020 was joy, and I was like, kept kind of, asking God, are we sure, joy? That seems like kind of an easy one. And now I think it's funny because I can just picture God being like, yeah, girl, you're going to need some joy.
And you're going to need to remember that.
And so I think,
to look for it.
Right. And so I think, going into all of the craziness of this year with joy as my word kind of really helped me. Because I would bring my focus back to it. I'm like, okay, joy through these circumstances. My joy is not rooted in this. My joy is not rooted in the fact that life has been turned upside down.
That you can't.
We're not going to work.
Classroom.
We're not. Life is absolutely insane. My joy is not rooted in that. My joy is rooted in Jesus. And so I think that was a really good reminder for me. And, just shows how perfect it is that God kept leading me to that word, even though I kept thinking, no, let me think of a different one, and it kept coming back to me.
And I know everybody's heard this, and I'm not, coming up with nothing new here, but, the way that we measure our vision is 2020, the perfect vision is 2020. And I've heard people say that since the beginning of all this stuff, that 2020 may have been the year, the wake-up call year.
Yeah.
The year that we can all get our vision corrected. We can start seeing things as they are. And one thing that we have seen is that we need to be more dependent on God, and less dependent on our circumstances. Because so many times our circumstances can change dramatically from you not being able to go to work, you not being able to go in stores for a while. You can't do this, that, and the other, and but still, there's some things that are unchangeable, and that's God, and that's where we should put our focus. So, 2020 is quite a year for picking out our best lesson, isn't it? But I think we've all learned some stuff. Yeah. All right, let's pick another one.
I think it's your turn.
Is it my turn to pick one for you? I'm gonna stir down in there. I'm gonna get. All right, here we go. It's a good one right here. I can tell because
it's long.
It's like a double one.
Oh,
no, it ain't too long. What is one unusual tradition or ritual you'd like to make part of your Thanksgiving celebration? Wow. An unusual tradition or ritual that you would like to do?
I think our family has always had we're a very traditional kind of family in that, we do the same thing on every holiday, every year for my entire life, even down to, the food that is eaten at said events. Me and Kinsey, one of our cousins, made fun of us because one year we're like, is it turkey or ham? And she's like, we always have turkey at Thanksgiving and ham is Christmas. Even the food is so specific. We were supposed to know, of course it's turkey here and Thanksgiving there. So, everything there are so many traditions. I don't know, what's an unusual one to start. I like our family traditions that we have.
Yeah,
But
and especially the ones we had before Granny passed
Yeah,
away. We'd all go to Granny's
bring in
house.
we'd eat ourselves into basically a coma, and then you'd be sitting on the couch, like ready to close your eyes and rest. And be like, time to get out the Christmas decorations, and you'd have to go to her building outside. It felt like 12 trips a person.
Oh,
and
there's
were
like 20 of us,
there
and
were
we all had to make
30
2
of
or 3
us.
trips.
It felt like way more. And you had to bring in all
She had
of her
more Christmas
stuff.
decorations than Walmart.
Like an entire building full of Christmas decorations, and you put it in the laundry room, and by the time everybody was finished bringing it in, you couldn't even get in the laundry room because it was so full of all the stuff. And so I think, coming from a family with very not strict but traditions that are always
and then we had to do what? As Zach would say,
nail down the joy.
Nail down the joy. And if you don't know what that means, I didn't know the first time Zach said it to me. I was like, what? But we had this big JOY with a nativity in the middle of the O, and you put it out with stakes out in the yard. And so after we unloaded all the Christmas decorations and took them in the laundry room, then we had to get those 3 letters and all the stakes that went with it and the hammer. We had to go out and nail down the joy.
And it was on like a hill, and so we would like run up and down the hill or roll down the hill. And I don't know why we always waited until it was dark, because it
got dark. It gets dark like this.
We got there way before it got dark, and nobody ever had the sense to think, we should go nail that joy down before it gets cold and dark.
It was more fun to go out there with a flashlight.
Yeah.
I remember being out there saying,
have
we got this centered in front of the house?
As you're hammering the stakes, about to hammer somebody's finger off.
And I think we broke the stakes, hitting them with a hammer. And anyway, it was fun. I always got to do that with the kids. I was one of the adults that got to go out and nail down the joy, and it was fun. I liked it. All right.
And then going Black Friday shopping.
Oh, yeah.
Was another fun tradition.
Back when it actually happened on Black Friday instead of on Thanksgiving.
Or when it would start at like midnight.
Yeah.
That was fun. When everybody would club.
We'd go stand in line somewhere.
And you'd get in line at like 10, and then you'd wait until midnight. That was fun.
Yeah.
I avoided that question. I didn't pick a new one.
You didn't pick a new one. Well, but if you like so for some people that might be kind of unusual. What we just talked about,
We have enough unusual.
I will say that I will throw this one in as far as our unusual thing that we do for Christmas. It said Thanksgiving, but I'll throw this out there. We do that pickle ornament, and we've done that since the kids were little. A friend that I used to work with at Winn-Dixie back many years ago, she gave me the pickle. And it's a glass ornament that looks just like a pickle, and it's green, of course. And you hang it in the Christmas tree. Like I would put it in the Christmas tree in a place where the kids couldn't find, or hopefully couldn't find it, because it's green. It kind of blends in. And then they all go to the back of the house. It's like hide and seek. And then I'd call them in. They'd come running, whoosh. Like,
we've almost knocked the tree down on several occasions.
Mama and Kenneth, they used to love to do it, and Canyon. And so it would be Kenzie, Cass, Canyon, Mama, Kenneth. They'd come barreling. The whole house would shake. They'd come rushing to the tree, and they couldn't touch the tree. But whoever could spot the pickle first got a little prize. And I had little prizes under the tree that they could pick. And that was fun. And so that's one. If you had never done that, that's kind of fun.
When we were kids, another one was Granny used to always buy like weird hats.
Oh, the little.
And make us wear like each year for several years.
On Christmas Eve when we went to John Valley's.
Which is another unusual
That
tradition.
is, yeah. So we just got lots of
I'd say
traditions.
Very like strict traditions. But she would make us wear like reindeer antlers one year, and a Santa hat, and elf ears,
to get pictures made,
and all sorts of different little things.
And she always brought coloring books, and everybody sat around and colored.
I hate to color, but Christmas Eve I am required to color.
And you liked it
I
then.
like it
Just
on
no other
Christmas
time.
Eve.
Yeah. So some interesting things that we do. Yeah. All right. Well, that's good. All right, we got time for maybe one more.
It's
you. I like asking them to you. Well, that we both get to jump in and answer them. So,
what is your favorite part of Thanksgiving?
Oh, this is an easy one. I like this. I love being in the kitchen cooking with you and Kenzie. and Herb comes in every once in a while, but the three of us in the kitchen cooking, I love that. I've always loved, even when y'all were little, get y'all in there, get y'all helping. You know, they'd be chopping the pecans, they'd be crumbling the biscuits when they were little. Now Cass is the expert pie maker. She makes a great pecan pie, great chocolate pie. Yeah, so I've always enjoyed the cooking. That's always fun. Yeah. What about you? What do you like best?
I like that too. And yeah, I think just the cooking and I always liked when we would all sit around and look at the catalogs and stuff, trying to, decide what we were going to do for Black Friday, like making a plan for that. And, oh, have you looked at Belk? Oh, well, you got to look at this place. Oh, you got to look here. And you're, throwing that. We haven't done it that way in a few years, but now it's on your phone. You're like, oh, look at this. And so I think that's always fun.
That was down at Granny's too.
Yeah.
Everybody would sit around and look through the paper. And
But just, the fun and all the food, of course.
Yeah. Love the food.
Pecan pie, sweet potato pie.
Herb's mama was the best cook ever. And she would make the best dressing and the best sweet potato souffle with pecans on top. Oh my goodness. My mouth's going to start watering if I start talking about it. But, so, yeah, that's fun. That's good. Think we got time for one more?
We can.
Okay, I'm going to give Cass one more and then we'll. I hope some of y'all are answering some questions or you're going to post something so I get to read y'all's answers later too. All right, let's see. Oh, well, this one's not really joyful. Let's don't do that one. I wanted something fun. This one's more like, I think that should go in that's talking about the biggest struggle. Let's don't do that. Let's do a fun one. If I could just get the little thing open. Okay. If you could learn a new skill this coming year, what would it be? Ooh, a new skill.
I would love to speak Spanish.
Hola, Lucy.
But I have tried multiple times and it does not click in my brain. But that would be, if I could if focusing on a skill for a year would make me really good at it, then Spanish.
I'm sure you could.
But I know that I can focus on it for 10 years and I still would not be good
Well,
at it.
I took four semesters of it and I can say hola, Lucy. So, hey, I'm good, ain't I?
Excellent job.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
Well,
What's yours? What skill would you learn?
Could I say more carpentry skills or learn how to build cabinets or something? Can I say something like that?
Sure.
I'll say that. I'd like to learn how to build cabinets. Y'all know I like woodworking and that kind of stuff, but I wish I had somebody to teach me those things. So if you have a cabinet maker in your family that wants to take on an apprentice, I'm available. All right, well, has anybody got any comments here? They done all turned it off now and said, oh, I'm tired of listening to these questions, these Chatterbox questions. Well, this is fun, though. It's a little change of pace for us. So next week, we've got our assignments, right? And then we'll take a few more questions, and that'll be a couple of days before Thanksgiving. So, yeah. All right. So let's close out with a word of prayer. Dear Lord, we thank you so much for the opportunity to get together with our friends tonight. We thank you, Lord, that we can always turn to you. We thank you, Lord, for your word and Philippians 4 tonight. We just praise you for that. We praise you for the insight that you give us each and every time we read your word. Lord, I ask you to be with us this Thanksgiving season. Give us all a heart of gratitude. Help us to look for our blessings, Lord, and to be thankful to you for all that we have. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. And we'll see all of y'all next week. Have a great week. Good night.